Hello, fellow photographers. Welcome to Photo Feedback Forum. I am your host, fellow photographer, and random points generator, Dack. This channel is all about improving your photography by looking at the images through the lens of a photo judge. That's me. These are not definitive do's and don'ts. Think of them as tips and suggestions that could have a positive impact the next time you go out and shoot and process your photos. We're going to look at 5 very different photo styles today: long exposure, architecture, still life, street, and landscape. If you would like me to take a look at one of your images, use the link in the description to send me the image. Now let's get going over here on the big screen. 3, 2, 1, go. We are starting off with a fireworks shot. Nice long exposure. Let's get into it. Compositionally, I'm going to give this an 18. I like the fact that it's a different perspective than what you often see in fireworks scenes. We are clearly up high at some distance. It's I would maybe consider it an environmental fireworks shot, because we have a lot of extra stuff over here. Navy Pier, clearly we're in Chicago for this one. Adds a different element that I find refreshing. Lighting, it's at night. You're dealing with the ambient light and fireworks, and this is a pretty big display. I think it does a pretty good job. Okay, now looking back at it, compositionally, I think that's. I don't think there's a reason to have that much space over there. I think that's. Yeah, it could have been a little tighter crop. I think that would have been better. Yeah, that's what happens when you look at images and relook at images and relook at images. You're always going to see something that you want something a little bit different. Same with up here, maybe a little more headroom. Yeah, I'll stick with the 18. Lighting, yeah, as I mentioned, 18. It's ambient light. You get what you get. Technical, also 18. It maybe could have been tad sharper. Lights there, down here a little tight. I do like the starburst here, so clearly we're at probably f8 20, 22. We're up there to get the starbursts there, including up here those fireworks that haven't exploded yet. But I still think it could be a little bit sharper. Overall, I'm fine with 18. Impact, I like the image. It's bold, bright colors. There's some stuff going on here. And storytelling, also 19, because we're not just looking at the exploding things. We have this environmental stuff to look at as well. Nice reflection in the water. So, interesting story. I'm going to give it a 92. Moving on to architecture here. We are inside a church. Let's dig into it. Composition, 18. Getting low really gets us a lot of space to look into. And also getting low gives us the pews, gives us a nice leading line to the center here. That all works well. Lighting is it's a little bit funky here. We're going to look into it a little bit later after technical here, but I'm going to give it a 16. It could be better. The biggest thing is the blown out stained glass up there. That this should have been done in basically an aperture focus stack kind of thing, HDR to bring out the color and the stained glass, similar to what's right there. So lighting definitely needs work. Technical also needs work. A little blurry there. I already mentioned the blown out light, and I didn't notice this until loading it into the presentation software here. Um, Up here, that's an easy crop, unnecessary bit of light up there. So this could be sharper and it could be lit better. Here it was as shot, so we were a little wonky with the horizon. We're slanted, so that was fixed. I did mess around with the white balance on the final image here. I also did some lens correction to straighten up the pews. That does work, but overall the work I did do was not enough. So technical, it's a 16. Impact, you know, not an uncommon shot, so I don't think it has massive impact in storytelling. Again, the location, the perspective it's shot from, gives it some storytelling feel, but it again could be better. I'm thinking maybe if there were people actually walking, just kind of a long exposure, kind of ghosted images walking down there, that would make this far more interesting. But we don't have that. It's kind of a standard church shot. So I'm going to give it an 83. We are now going to look at a still life. Still lifes are interesting and fun and very challenging because everything in the shot is 100% under the control of the maker. So if you see something you don't like in an image, that's the maker's fault. It wasn't something that just happened in the scene, because everything here is very deliberate. So in this one, I think the composition works very well. We have enough space around to give the subject some breathing room. We certainly don't need much vase, but we need some vase to give it an anchor. So all of that works well. We have the elements of three going, 1, 2, 3. The way the petals are kind of coming in, they allow you to follow through the image. That works well. I think the lighting is done well. Again, there's still lifes. There's no one right answer. I think for this subject, this lighting works very well. It is soft. We do have a little shadow up there. Gives it some depth there. There's also a little. Well, we're going to get into a technical here. Let me just jump into that. Technical, clearly sharp, sharp. A little soft there. Gives it some depth. It's like a little unequal there. This should be matching that in its softness. I'm just noticing that now. Yeah, maybe I should have pinged myself an extra point for that. But overall, I think technically it is a well done image. Maybe a little crunchy there. Maybe could have softened that up. I'm going to stick with an 18. I think it is impactful. Again, it's a style of still lifes and flowers you don't see often, so that gives it some impact there. And obviously the blank background there gives us allows us to focus just on the subject. And storytelling, obviously we have dried flowers, we have age. They are interesting looking, so I'm going to stick with an 18 for storytelling and give it a 90 overall. Street, here we go. Dig into it. Compositionally, 18. I think this works well. We have circle here. We got the triangle, of course. We have another circle over there. We have the subjects looking at some sort of map or board or something. And obviously, we are shooting from the second floor at the railing here, which we'll get into the technical a little bit later. If the railing was cut off, I think that would be a little too tight in the image. We'll get into that in the technical. Lighting, it is natural light. It's coming through skylights. It's decent. It does a good job. Technical, again, the probably the biggest mark is this railing here should have been toned down. I don't mind it being there. Maybe cropped a little bit, but then I didn't want this to get. I wanted this to have some breathing room too. So best thing I should have done is tone this image down, this section down. So technical, as a ping for that. Impact, and it's something you don't see every day. That's important. So it has some impact there. And also storytelling. You see subjects doing something and you are viewing it from afar, but not too far. So I think there's an interesting story here. Like all the elements come together. I'm going to give this a 90. Moving on to a landscape shot. Compositionally, yeah, it's a 17. Would it have been better if it was shot more from this angle? That maybe would have alleviated this gap there, possibly. I don't mind the fact that there are 3 elements there. That works well. I'm just not crazy about this gap there. So 17 for composition. Lighting, got there at the right time of day. It is the morning, but you don't have control over Mother Nature. You have very easy, safe clouds. Nothing particularly exciting there. I think it's safe lighting. It's just not exciting lighting. The lighting on the lighthouse that works. Technical. There's no reason this should be out of focus. The landscape or the lighthouse is not going anywhere. So tripod it, put on the self timer to make sure there's no shake, and make sure that everything is in focus. That's not crazy about the partially dead tree, but that's beside the point. What happens with the partially dead tree is it really points out how soft that is. These leaves also are a bit soft. The lighthouse itself is decently sharp, but the surrounding elements really knock it down. So it's a 16 for that. Impact. I do like the orange and the blue. That works well. I think upon first viewing, it does have some impact, so I'm going to give it a 17. But upon further review and looking at it, it's more of a wall hanger. I mean, it's an okay shot. There's just not there's not anything exciting for a story, so I'm going to give it a 16. And this one gets an 83 in total. All right, we are now going to end with a quote. Photography helps people see. This is by Bernice Abbott. Bernice Abbott was a photographer in New York. A lot of architecture, a lot of people. She did a fantastic shot of Grand Central Station with lights beaming in. Anyway, yes, photography helps people see. And that is one of the fun side effects of being a photographer is even when you're out without your camera, you tend to look at a scene as if you're looking at through the viewfinder, and you're always looking for compositions, always looking for interesting light, and that's again the fun of being a photographer. And it's a good exercise to do as well. Just looking around when you don't have a camera, what do you see in your mind's eye? That's all we have for this episode. Once again, if you're interested in me taking a look at one of your images, click the link in the description, send me that file, and you'll see it maybe in an upcoming episode. Thanks for your time. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.